In 1962, a homeless black child asked John Wayne for a single dollar. What happened next was buried for over 60 years. The boy was 9 years old. He had not eaten in 4 days. His clothes were torn. His shoes had holes. He stood outside a movie set in Arizona, watching the biggest star in America walk toward a waiting car. John Wayne was untouchable, the cowboy every kid wanted to be, the soldier every man respected. 50 million people watched his films that year. He dined with presidents. He defined what it meant to be American, a man so powerful that ordinary people were afraid to even look him in the eye. So when this starving child stepped forward and whispered 6 words, "Mister, can you please spare a dollar?" Nobody expected what followed. Not the film crew, not the security guard who tried to stop it, and certainly not the child himself. Because John Wayne did not reach for his wallet. He did not wave the boy away. He did not call for someone to remove him. Instead, he did something that shocked everyone on that set. Something that revealed a side of John Wayne Hollywood never wanted you to see. A side he kept hidden his entire life. This is the story of a single dollar that changed 2 lives forever. But here is what nobody knew until recently. That little boy kept something from that day for 58 years. When he passed away, his daughter found it tucked inside his wallet. What was it? Stay with me. When you hear what John Wayne said to that child, and what that boy carried until his final breath, you will never see the Duke the same way again. If stories like this move you, subscribe right now and turn on notifications. Tell me in the comments where you are watching from today. October 17th, 1962. A blazing hot afternoon on a film set outside Tucson, Arizona. John Wayne had just finished shooting a scene for his latest Western. At 55 years old, he was the biggest movie star on the planet. The films, the awards, the legend. He had everything a man could want. But those closest to John Wayne knew something the cameras never captured. After every long day of filming, he had a ritual. He would walk alone to the edge of the set and just stand there, staring at the desert. His son Patrick once asked him why. His answer was something Patrick never forgot. "The cameras see the Duke," he said. "But out here, I remember the kid who had nothing." That afternoon, the truth was waiting for him near the dirt road behind the trailers. His name was Samuel James Walker. Sammy to the few people who ever bothered to learn it. 9 years old, born in a small town in Mississippi. His father died in a factory accident when Sammy was 4. His mother worked 3 jobs to keep them alive. Then she got sick. By the time Sammy was 7, she was gone too. No aunts, no uncles, no one who wanted a poor black child with nowhere to go. Sammy ran from the group home after 6 months. He had been on the streets for 2 years, surviving on scraps, sleeping behind buildings. But Sammy had rules. He never stole. He always said sir and ma'am. He kept his torn shirt tucked in and his face as clean as he could. "Mama told me dignity is all we got," he would say to himself every morning. "Nobody can take it unless I let them." That day, Sammy was near the movie set because he heard John Wayne was there. He loved westerns. He loved the Duke. He had no idea that in 5 minutes, his hero would be standing right in front of him. And what happened next would change both of their lives forever. The back gate of the film set swung open. John Wayne stepped out into the blazing afternoon sun, still wearing his dusty cowboy costume. He pulled off his hat and wiped his forehead. He started walking toward the dirt road the way he always did. Alone, quiet, lost in thought. Sammy saw him immediately. Even from 50 feet away, there was no mistaking that walk. The broad shoulders, the slow, steady stride, the presence that filled the entire desert. Sammy's heart began pounding. This was not just another actor. This was John Wayne, the man who fought the bad guys and always won. The man Sammy had watched through the window of an electronics store when they played his movies on the display televisions. Every instinct told Sammy to stay hidden. This was a star, a legend. There were security guards nearby. But Sammy had not eaten in 4 days. His stomach was screaming. And something about the way John Wayne walked alone, without bodyguards, without assistance, gave Sammy a strange courage. He stood up slowly from behind the wooden crate where he had been hiding. He brushed the dust off his torn shirt, a habit his mother taught him. He walked toward the legend at a respectful distance, careful not to startle him. His voice came out barely above a whisper. "Excuse me, mister. I am real sorry to bother you. I have not eaten in a while. Could you please spare $1?" What happened next was witnessed by a young crew member named Richard Alvarez. He had stepped outside for a cigarette. He saw everything, and he would never forget it. John Wayne stopped walking. He turned around slowly and looked down at the child, not with the quick, annoyed glance that famous people give to strangers. He turned fully. His eyes locked onto Sammy's face. For several long seconds, he said nothing, just looked. Those who knew John Wayne would recognize this moment. The same stillness he brought to his most intense scenes. The pause before something real was about to happen. Then he spoke. His voice was softer than Sammy expected. Not the booming voice from the movies. Something more human. "What is your name, son?" Sammy swallowed hard. "Samuel, sir. But people call me Sammy." John Wayne nodded slowly. Then he did something that made the boy's breath stop. He took off his cowboy hat, got down on one knee in the dirt, and looked Sammy straight in the eyes. And what he said next would reveal a secret John Wayne had hidden from the world his entire life. Before I tell you what the Duke said on that dusty road, make sure you are subscribed. Drop a comment and tell me what you think he said. I promise you, the truth is more powerful than anything you could imagine. Tell me where in the world you are watching this from right now. John Wayne knelt there in the dirt, eye to eye with a 9-year-old boy who had nothing. When he spoke, his voice was different, stripped of the Hollywood polish. Raw, real. "Sammy, you want to know something? Something most people do not know about me." He did not wait for an answer. "My real name is not John Wayne. Never was. My real name is Marion Morrison. I grew up in California during the Depression. My family was dirt poor. Some nights we did not have enough food to go around. I know exactly what it feels like to be hungry, son. I know what it feels like when people look right through you like you do not exist." Sammy stared at him. This was John Wayne, the toughest man in America, the cowboy who never lost. And he was talking about hunger, about being invisible, about being just like Sammy. "You walked up to me just now." John Wayne continued. "You looked me in the eye. You said, 'Sir.' You asked with respect. Do you know how rare that is? Grown men with fancy suits cannot do what you just did. That takes courage, son. Real courage." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a $1 bill. But he did not hand it over. He held it between them like it was something sacred. "I am going to give you this $1, but not because I feel sorry for you. I am giving it to you because of the way you asked. You asked with dignity. And dignity is something nobody can take from you unless you let them. Do you understand me?" Sammy nodded, tears forming in his eyes. John Wayne pressed the $1 into his small palm, but held his hand there for a moment. "I want you to keep this $1, Sammy. Do not spend it. Not ever. You keep it to remind yourself that you are worth more than every $1 I have ever made. Asking for help is not weakness. It is the first step to standing back up." Then the Duke stood up, but he was not finished. "When is the last time you had a real meal, son? Not scraps. A real meal." Sammy could not remember. "That is what I thought." John Wayne looked toward the crew area, then back at the boy. "There's a diner about 2 miles down the road. Place called Rosalita's. The owner is a good woman named Maria. I am going to take you there myself. I am going to buy you the biggest meal on the menu. And I am going to see if Maria knows somewhere safe you can stay. Because what you need is not charity, Sammy. What you need is a chance." Sammy would later describe what happened in that moment. He started to cry. Not from shame, not from sadness, but from something he had not felt in 2 years. The feeling that someone saw him, that someone believed he was worth fighting for. Richard Alvarez watched from the edge of the set. He said the air itself seemed to change. This was not John Wayne the movie star. This was something else entirely. But one question remained. Would Maria actually help this child? And what would happen during that 2-mile walk to the diner? The answer would surprise everyone. The walk to Rosalita's diner took nearly 40 minutes. But in that time, something remarkable happened. John Wayne and Sammy Walker talked, not as a movie star and a homeless child, but as two people who understood struggle. The Duke asked about Sammy's mother, about Mississippi, about what he dreamed of becoming one day. Sammy asked what it felt like to be in the movies, whether the horses were hard to ride, whether the bad guys were really bad. John Wayne laughed, a real laugh. The hardest part of my job, he said, is pretending to be brave. But you, Sammy, you are the real thing. When they arrived at Rosalita's, Maria Santos had just finished the lunch rush. She had owned that diner for 18 years. She had served John Wayne dozens of times when he filmed nearby, but she had never seen him walk through her door holding the hand of a young black child in torn clothes. For a moment, she did not know what to say. Then John Wayne spoke. Maria, this is my friend Sammy. He served a harder life than most grown men I know. I need you to do me a favor. Maria's response was immediate. Any friend of yours has a place at my table. Sit down, both of you. What followed was a meal that lasted over 2 hours. John Wayne ordered the biggest plate on the menu for Sammy. Steak, eggs, potatoes, biscuits, and a tall glass of milk. They talked about everything. About life, about hardship, about what it means to keep going when the world wants you to quit. Maria joined them between serving other customers. By the end of the meal, she made a decision. Her sister ran a small boarding house for children who had nowhere else to go. She would take Sammy there herself. She would make sure he had a bed, clothes, and 3 meals a day. When John Wayne stood to leave, he shook Sammy's hand like he was shaking the hand of a man. You have my word, Sammy. I am going to check on you. And I want you to remember something. That dollar in your pocket is not money. It is proof. Proof that somebody believes in you. He looked at Maria. Take care of him. Then he walked out the door. Sammy never forgot that moment. The way the afternoon light hit the Duke's back as he left. The way he turned one last time and nodded, like a promise. But the world would not learn about this day for many years. And when they finally did, the reaction would be overwhelming. Make sure you are subscribed, because what comes next will stay with you forever. Tell me in the comments where you are watching from right now. Sammy Walker stayed at that boarding house for 3 years. Maria checked on him every single week. John Wayne kept his word. He visited whenever he filmed in Arizona. He paid for Sammy's school books without ever telling anyone. When Sammy turned 12, the Duke helped him get into a proper school. When he turned 18, he wrote a letter of recommendation that helped Sammy get his first real job. Nobody in Hollywood knew. That was not John Wayne's way. Sammy Walker grew up. He worked hard. He became a mechanic, then a shop foreman, then opened his own garage in Phoenix. In 1978, he married a woman named Dorothy. They had 2 children together, a son named Michael, and a daughter he named Maria, after the woman who gave him a second chance. Every Sunday until the day he died, Sammy volunteered at a shelter for homeless children. He never forgot where he came from. He never forgot who believed in him when no one else did. John Wayne passed away on June 11th, 1979. Sammy drove 400 miles to stand outside the church during the funeral. He did not go inside. He just stood there, holding his hat over his heart, tears running down his face. He whispered 2 words. Thank you. Sammy Walker passed away in 2020. He was 67 years old. At his funeral, his daughter Maria found something tucked inside his worn leather wallet. A single dollar bill, faded and soft from decades of being carried. The same dollar John Wayne gave him on that dusty road in Arizona 58 years earlier. He never spent it. Not once. He kept it exactly where the Duke told him to keep it. Close to his heart. A reminder that he was worth something. And what his daughter did next with that dollar brought the entire room to tears. At Sammy's funeral, his daughter Maria walked to the front of the room. She held up the faded dollar bill so everyone could see it. Her voice trembled as she spoke. My father carried this dollar for 58 years. He told me the story 1,000 times. He said John Wayne did not save him with money. He saved him with 5 minutes of his time and the belief that a poor black child from Mississippi was worth something. She paused, wiping her eyes. Daddy always said the dollar was never about the money. It was proof. Proof that one moment of kindness can change a life forever. Maria donated that dollar to a museum in Arizona. It sits there today behind glass. Next to it is a small plaque that reads, $1, one moment, one life changed. This story teaches us something we should never forget. Heroes are not only found on movie screens or battlefields. Sometimes they are found in the quiet moments when someone chooses to see another person's humanity, when it would be easier to look away, but they do not. John Wayne could have ignored that little boy. He could have tossed him a coin and kept walking. Instead, he knelt down in the dirt and changed a life. The next time you see someone asking for help, remember this. What they need most is not your spare change. It is your time, your attention, the recognition that they matter. Sometimes changing the world starts with a single dollar and the willingness to get down on one knee and listen. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Subscribe and I will see you in the next one. Tell me in the comments where you are watching from.